Hello everyone! It has been quite some time. There have been several videos and little audio files I wanted to make, but then I changed my mind at the very end. Maybe this one will end up the same way, but this sentence is redundant because if you're hearing this episode or this content, that means I did upload it. Ta-da! But yes, quite a lot has happened in the past few months in my life, my little nerdy life. But yes, one of the main reasons I didn't upload anything is because I was dating someone for a while and gave them all of my free time. But then that all fell to shit after about a month. But, you know, nice while it lasted. But yes, on a more nerdy note, though, there was a new Sonic game that came out, Sonic Mania. And, oh my god, that was so much fun. It felt like I had been teleported back to 1995. You know the year. It was the one in between 94 and 96. Good times were had by all. Unless you weren't born. But who knows? Maybe if you were born in 96, maybe good times were being had by your parents. There you go. Get in there, my son. But yes, and it was actually a good game. But it was a weird feeling, because after playing it, it's something I've wanted for 23 years. I'm someone who very much enjoys closure and resolution from things. And I never felt like I got closure on what Sonic used to be in terms of good games. The series was going from strength to strength to strength. And then there was nothing on the Sega Saturn, and the Dreamcast ones were okay, but not the same. And then you had things like Sonic 4. It's like, what the hell was that? But anyway, so, you know, if I knew that Sonic 3 Knuckles would be the last decent 2D Sonic game, I would have savoured it more, but I didn't. It's like, hey, this is getting better and better and better and better. But no, it took 23 fucking years for them to go back to how good the games used to be. And it was weird, because while playing it, it was great. But then after finishing it, I had such a sense of emptiness come over me, because I've wanted this for so long, and now I finally have it. I'm like, I don't know who I am anymore. What do I have to look forward to now? I don't know. But on that note, there's a new series or season of The Wolf Among Us coming out. One of my favourite games that I've also waited years for. And it's finally coming out next year. I'm rather excited about that. Cautiously optimistic, because they're saying it doesn't follow on and it could be anywhere within the Fables comic timeline. So, I hope it's good. That's all. Hoping it's good. And also, currently, Season 9 of Curb Your Enthusiasm is going on, as well as South Park, but, you know, you can take or leave South Park these days. But Curb Your Enthusiasm, that's one of my favourite shows of all time, and they haven't had a new season since 2011, so, you know, a lot of interesting things happening currently in the nerd world. And Shenmue got delayed by a year, but, you know, shit happens. Hopefully that ends up being good. Who knows? Do you know? I don't. Do you? I don't. Do you? I don't. Welcome to the obligatory Battle Block Theatre reference. And by obligatory, I mean completely out of place. That's right. And for any 2 or 3 of you who actually enjoy those Hazuki podcast episodes, there is one that's in editing, but it's kind of in editing limbo. Because we were both very tired at the time, and we only got half an episode recorded. And it was a very timely episode. So, I don't know what's going to happen with that, because it's a 2.5-hour audio file, and those things take a long time to edit. Getting it down, taking out the awkward pauses and the background noises and the coughs and all that stuff. And you have to take a step back and think, is that worth the effort? I have so many different videos and audio files like that, where it's like, is the time put into it, or would the time I'd have to put into it be worth the content that comes out of it? And sometimes you just have to let it go. Cut your losses, or count your losses. I've never known which one it is, whether it's cut or count. But either way. But yes, there was a segment about if we could live in if we could live in a different world of our favourite fandom, what would it be? And we went into that for a little bit. Snark also went on a story about how she met up with one of her internet friends for a week or so. And I mentioned about just what was going on in the video game world, which I pretty much just copied verbatim, or quoted verbatim at the start of this. So, there you go. Someone just sent me a message saying, sing me a song about a fellow named... I didn't catch the name. That was not necessary. Let's see what they said. Sing me a song about a fellow called Daniel Moore, sucking off a god named Ron, but not doing a satisfactory job of it, as he used too much teeth during the blowjob, which upsets this Daniel Moore fella, as he was unable to please Ron. So he cries. I feel like that's a reference to Harry Potter in there somewhere. But anyway, so those are the kind of requests I get from people. They're like, hey, you there! I like your voice, and I like your comedic chops. Those sexy comedic chops. So, combine them and amuse me, be my jesty! But yes, this has gone on for 6 minutes already. Quality content here. But yes, so the reason I haven't carried on, or we haven't carried on making Hazuki episodes, things have been happening in our lives. Like I said, I was dating someone for a month, so that took up all my time. You know, it didn't end too well, but, you know, you pick yourself up and just keep on going. Appreciate what it was while you had it, and just, you know, try and learn from that and make the next one work. I made a video about that before, in terms of dealing with a breakup. Watch this. I'm like, hey, Past David, you got my back. You knew what was up. Yeah. But on the subject of relationships, Snark is currently... She finally... It's not really my place to say, so I'll give you the short version. She has been dating someone online for 7 years, a long distance, meeting up, you know, once a year, usually, to, you know, make that physical connection, hugging and all that fancy stuff. But now, as of a few days ago of this recording, she finally is living with her. And I'm just like, yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful. See? An online relationship success story. You don't hear many of those, all these long-distance things going on. It's trickier when it's different countries, though, because then you have to deal with jurisdictions and paperwork and visas. It's a whole thing. But when you're just going from one state to another, or whatever, you can make that work a bit easier. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. I don't know if this is of any interest to anyone. There's a lot of gun violence going on, but that's not really my place to say. There's only, you know, there are only so much... Murdering people is bad. There we go. Although even that's a grey area. It's like, well, it depends who you're murdering. But that's not what this is! So, yes, I'll wrap this up right now. If you want me to record anything, if you have any ideas for content, if you want my opinion on anything, go ahead and I'll talk about it. That's essentially what that podcast was supposed to be. Where I'm just like, hey, the first half of it is serious discussions, and the second half is much more lighthearted. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. Yeah. And another podcast I used to do stuff for was Hot Choco, but that all crashed and burned, and things... It's not my place to say either, but let's just say doxing was involved, so he was like, I'm gonna shut this shit down, baby cakes, without so much as a warning, and I'm like, I enjoyed that. We had an arc planned. There was an arc that was going somewhere. But anyway, you take care, everyone, and stay beautiful. And if you ever want to know my thoughts on games in this format, the reason I don't is because every Tom, Dick, and Harry has video game reviews out, and I would just literally be talking like this. I don't like appearing on camera, and I get self-conscious and all the rest of that. There are videos of me on my channel if you're curious, but it's just, I don't know. I don't feel like shoving a camera in my face really adds anything, when I can just hold a phone in my hand and rant. Rant like the wind. Does wind rant? I feel like it's more scary. It's like, ooh, ooh, it's cold, woo. But if you like this form, I could do reviews for the new Sonic Forces game that's coming out soon. I mean, that's not looking too great, if I'm honest, but it's there. You know, if you want my thoughts on any serious subjects, we could do that. Again, those were things that were supposed to come up in that podcast, in terms of things like depression and self-worth. We were going to talk about long-distance relationships and stuff like that. Just interesting takes. Because I do tend to ramble. I swear I've said goodbye about 4 times already in this thing alone, and we're at the 10-minute mark now. So sometimes it's good to have someone else to kind of rein that in. Be like, okay, maybe stop now. It's my turn to talk. But yes, but if you want to know my opinion on anything, let me know. If not, you take care, baby cakes.